Good morning and welcome all. The goal today is to complete a flight that I attempted yesterday. Got off the ground, pull out some charts, and my mouse froze on one of the charts. So I not only had to shut down the stream, but I had to reboot the entire computer. And did like that situation, so thought we'd try it again. Here we are in Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. I'm sorry, that's not correct. That's our destination. We are in Cincinnati Airport, which is actually in the state of Kentucky, Ohio. I'm sorry, in the state of Kentucky. It's cold and dark. Actually, it's a little cold and it's a little dark. It's not snowy. Looks like we're parked near some Southwest airplanes. Got some Allegiant aircraft out there as well. And a couple of friends from Frontier. There goes a Delta jet lifting off. This is a Delta hub. We are a Delta plane. Not sure about that jet bridge working today. Let's see if we can get that jet bridge working. Well, I think that jet bridge is about as connected as it's going to be. Yesterday I wasn't able to manipulate it on my own, but when I started the pushback, it did retract. So a little bit of ground handling today. We'll have a limousine, a crew vehicle, and maybe some baggage. That'll be fine for today. We'll open the forward entry door and we'll open the cargo doors. I'm always amazed how the luggage starts to load aboard even before the luggage has arrived in the carts. Don't run over the marshaller. Oh, marshaller got run over. Good morning, Christy. Oh, she's not saying much to me today. Let's add some ground power, and we'll add some air conditioning. Make sure the chocks are installed. Landing gear handle is down. Thrust levers are to idle. Parking brake is on. Let's apply that ground power. Turn on the battery. 3 green on the landing gear down here. And 3 green on the landing gear up here. Looks like the airplane is slowly coming to life. Let's continue. I'm going to arm the emergency exits. Turn on the fasten seatbelt sign and turn on the chimes. Anti-collision light on. Position and strobe light steady. Logo light on. Hold off on the APU for right now. We're getting air conditioning through that air supply and through the jetway, and we're getting external power from the jetway power plug. I'm sorry, from our ground unit as well. We will turn on the windscreen heat. We have air conditioning pressure, but we don't have air conditioning until we turn the air conditioning packs to auto. Get our inertia reference system, IRS system aligned. Align nav. Align nav. I'll test out the leading edge flaps lights. Service interphone to off. Dome light on. Backup radio is in the public address for the microphone. Rotate this dial here on the bottom, and we have an align time of 7 minutes. Do a mock airspeed warning test. I could hear it, but it was pretty faint. Let's check on our sounds here. Yeah, I'm going to kick up these sounds. Stall warning test. Mach airspeed test is fine. Flight recorder is guarded and normal. Passenger oxygen is guarded and normal. If you ever were to flip that switch during pre-flight, all the oxygen masks in the back would deploy and your flight would quickly be over. Oxygen, crew oxygen is fine. Electrical switches are guarded and normal. Flight control, spoiler, alternate flap switches are guarded and normal. IRS, FMC, and VHF navigation are all in the normal position. Displays are in the normal position. Crossfeed is off. Fuel pumps are off. Bus transfer, right now we are getting electrical power from the external source. APU is showing 0. Batteries are not discharging. That's a double negative if ever there was one. Wing anti-ice, engine anti-ice are off. Gonna hold off on turning on the hydraulics until we're pushed away from the gate. I'm also gonna hold off on turning on the pitot static heat until we're pushed away from the gate, because those probes can heat up and they can be potentially hazardous to ground personnel. We can monitor our cabin temperature. Right now, right pack and left pack are putting out just above 20 degrees centigrade, but the cabins themselves are showing pretty cool, about 8 or 9 degrees. Even, well, the duct supply is a little warmer, but the actual cabin temperatures are in the 5-degree range, so it's a little cool back there. Current altitude here in Cincinnati is 895 feet above sea level. I'm going to go upstairs and put in 895 as our landing altitude, just in case we have to come back to the field. Flight level 190 will be our cruising altitude today. Pretty low. We don't need to climb much. It's not a terribly long flight. So we're looking good. Let's go to our flight management computer. We are in a Boeing 737-800 model. We have our current AIRAC cycle. We are rated at 26,000 pounds of thrust. We'll go to the position and go to the next page. Okay, we'll go to the position initialization screen. Our reference airport is KCVG. I think we're at gate 20. Gate doesn't matter too much. Set IRS position. Well, if we go to the next page, we can see a couple of GPS positions from some installed GPS receivers. We'll choose one of them, put it in the scratch pad, go back to the previous page, and we'll plug it in. There we go. Go to the route page, our origin, KCVG, our destination, KCLE, Cleveland, Ohio, the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Next page is for our route. Our route is very simple. It's a VOR called DQN, Delta Quebec November. Where's Quebec November? Direct to. And then one waypoint, the Talkin waypoint, Talkn. And that's it. No departure procedure. We do have an arrival procedure. It is the Rockin' 3 arrival. And we're expecting runway 24 left. Of course, that could change, but we can always change it on the fly. So that's our route. We have a discontinuity after Talkin, so we'll select Rockin', move it into that place. Okay, well, here's what I want to do. I want to go... let's go then. Oh, I think I didn't choose a departure runway for Cleveland. Well, based on the wind, it's runway 27. We can change that later if we have to. And here we go, DQN, Talkin, and then we are on the arrival. Don't like that vector there, so I'm going to move Almore into the vector spot. Oh, doesn't like that. Well, I may have to just deal with that vector. Okay, well, I'm not going to fight it terribly hard. One thing I want to do, let's go next page. Okay. Feller, runway 24 is on a heading of 238, and Feller is also on a heading of 238. What's the previous waypoint to that? Almore is on a heading of 238. So what I want to do is to create a new waypoint. I'm going to select Almore, and I'm going to subtract from 238, I'm going to subtract 200, so now I have 38, and I'm going to add 20, that's 58, that's 058, 058. So what that is, 058 is the reciprocal of 238. So if you were on a heading of 238, which is a little bit southwest, 058 would be a little bit northeast, exactly opposite of 258. And the way you get that number is to either add or subtract 180 from your course. So in this case, the course was 238. I added or subtracted 180. Now the easy way to do that is to add or subtract 200, and then whatever operation you just did, do the opposite for 20. 200 plus 200 minus 20 is the same as plus 180. So Almore 058, that's the reciprocal, and I'm going to put a slash, and I'm going to put a 5. And I'm going to enter that right here. And it's a new waypoint called AL001. I'm going to execute that. Now, when I go into the, when I look at my primary flight display, what you'll see is, let's go to the plan mode, and I'm going to step through my legs. Let's get to the start here. There's Deadhead, Heads, Rockin', Devon, Zeppelin, Clapped, okay, then we have a vector, and the vector goes out to nowhere. I'm going to, again, see if I can get rid of that vector. It doesn't like me getting rid of that vector. Okay, well anyway, then we have the waypoint we made up, and then we have the next one, which was Almore. So let's see if we can get a little closer here. There's Almore, and here's the vector we just made up. So used to be, it was a vector out to space and then a vector to Almore. But we put in a new waypoint. So there's Almore and Feller and the runway. And 238 is the runway heading. Feller's the heading to the runway, 238, and the heading to Feller. They're all 238, they're all in a line. Almore, and then we made up a new one, AL001, which is right here. It's 5 miles back from Almore in the same direction. And what that does, it allows, then put in the court, the 3-digit radial. In this case, it was 058, and then slash, and then the distance. In this case, we made it 5. You could have made it 10, you could have made it 15, whatever distance you like. But that was a way of adding a waypoint to our routing. Wonderful. I'm pulling up a very helpful program called SimBrief Helper. And SimBrief Helper takes the information from your SimBrief and puts it in a convenient format so you have access to it. Cruise altitude assigned is 31,000 feet. I don't want to fly that high. Today it's just flight level 190. Top of wind, I will use this top of wind number, 256 at 75. Actually, that top of wind number only makes sense if you're actually at that altitude. So I will change my original thought and go with the cruise altitude planned was 310, and we'll stick with that. That's not monstrously high. Isodeviation temperature is 3 degrees Celsius. Put it in as Fahrenheit. I wonder what I can do to get it. There we go, 3 degrees Celsius. Zero fuel weight is 51.5. Up, and I know what happened here. The same thing that happened to me the last time I tried to fly this flight. The aircraft is not set up, and I noticed that when I was putting in the temperature, the 3 degrees went straight to Fahrenheit and not to Celsius. So I know what the issue is. The aircraft is set up for imperial units. It's not set up for metric. Kilograms. That's what we needed to do. Okay. Save all configurations. Zero fuel weight, 51.5. There it goes. Reserves, 2.2. Actually, reserve fuel is 1.0. We round 958 kilograms can be rounded up to 1.0. Cost index, I'm going to fly. Cost index assigned is 7. That's awful puny low. The higher the cost index, the less efficient your plane is. That's a number from 1 to 99, or 1 to 100. I like to fly with a high cost index. We have a steep descent after clapped. That's okay, we'll deal with that. N1 limit. We are rated at 26,000 pounds with a normal takeoff. We would choose takeoff and climb as they're already pre-selected. But we can derate our engines to 24,000 pounds, or in my case, we've got 10,000 foot runways. So 22,000 pounds should be fine. And I'm going to, instead of a steeper climb at climb or climb 1, I'm going to choose climb 2, which is a very shallow, a relatively shallow climb. But we are derated for noise abatement and engine life. Flap setting of 5. Center of gravity calculation. 5.75 on the trim. Go to my trim wheel, set in 5.75. This is one thing my first officer is going to be really picky with. I want to be as accurate as I can be. Actually, I've noticed that she favors it if it's almost more like 6. So I'm going to leave it like that. Right? What I would say would even be 6. But that'll make her happy. Verify V-speeds, 136, 127, and 126. V1, VR, and V2. Yep, runway 27 is 11,900, that's 12,000 foot runway. You could fly B-52 bombers off that runway. That's really good. Let's do a taxi briefing and a departure briefing. Got to be careful because working with these charts is what froze my computer the last time. Here's our routing. We have no runway 9 for takeoff, so we'll be departing to the east. We have no procedure as there's no SID assigned, standard instrument departure. So departing to the east, and then intercept our course to DQN. We'll be on the Rockin' 3 arrival. Come in at Clapton, then Zeppelin. Our first altitude restriction is at Zeppelin at 10,000 feet, and then we will step descend 6,000 between 9 and 7,000 to Rockin'. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait. We are landing runway 24. Is this the Rockin' 3 arrival? This is Rockin' 3. I'm curious about that. Well, Rockin' 3, this looks like Rockin' 3 gets us to Dayton. I'm really a little confused. Oh, I'm reading this from the wrong direction. That's why. We're down here in Cincinnati. We're not up in Cleveland. My brain was saying we were departing from Cleveland. Okay, runway 9 from Cleveland out to the east. We have no procedure to take us to CQ or Delta Quebec November DQN, which is this VOR right here. This is Delta Quebec November, and then to Tonkin, and then here's our arrival route. Here's the Rockin' 3. So the Rockin' 3 will take us up here. We're landing runway 24, which is in this direction. So we will we'll have vectors, and then we will have our waypoints that will bring us in from the north. So that is our routing briefing, and let's go over our taxi procedure. Here we are. We're going to be departing on runway 9. So basically, after our pushback, a very short taxi across the J3 to K2, and we'll be lined up for runway 9. Oh, I'm sorry, runway 9 to the east. J3, taxi all the way down, taxiway Kilo and then we'd be lined up for runway 9, departing to the east. Okay, so we've got pretty much the length of the runway to taxi to get set up for runway 9. Taxi brief, routing brief is done, taxi brief is done. And we have completely set up our flight management computer. At this point, I think we can say goodbye to our ground handling equipment. I see our first officer has come back from her pre-flight walk-around. Let's want to sit just a little higher in the saddle. Let's run a checklist.
Pre-flight checklist. Voice recorder.
Set on.
Oxygen.
Oh, you caught me, Christy. I don't think I tested my oxygen this morning. You can hear the oxygen flowing on my side. Oxygen on my side is tested 100%.
Tested 100%. Navigation and display switches. Normal, auto. Window heat.
Window heat is on.
On. Pressurization mode selector.
Pressurization mode is to automatic.
Auto. Flight instruments.
Flight instruments are barrel ref is 2992 and course is 238 and altitude is 2000. But we don't have a clearance yet. That's going to change.
Heading 6. Altitude 418. Altimeter 2992. Parking brake.
Parking brake is set.
Engine start levers.
Engine start levers are in cutoff.
Pre-flight checklist completed.
Great, thank you, Christy. We'll do some more tests here. Let's test the autopilot disconnect lights on both the pilot flying and pilot not flying side. We'll do a light test. Every light, every bulb, every element in the house. You want to make sure they're fully illuminated. That looks good. Come down here and we'll do a systems test.
Flight slow. Pull up. Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear. Terrain. Terrain. Pull up. Obstacle. Obstacle. Pull up. Airspeed low.
Wonderful. We'll test the cargo, the engine fire alarm system, smoke alarm in the cargo, landing gear fault, and those tests are normal. I'm going to move the transponder into the traffic advisory position. Hold off on the TARA position until a little later. I'm going to put Pilot Not Flying's microphone on COM 2. We're listening to COM 1. I want to turn on the speaker for the Nav 1 radio and also the marker beacon. Let's go down here and do that on both sides. And then I think we're ready to talk to air traffic control. Cincinnati, clearance delivery. Delta 4 tree, ready to copy.
Delta Force is clear to Kilo Charlie Lima Echo. Gleise WHWTR 9 DEPR Tour. Wissenlose Transition. 10 as Heil. Expect DEPR Tour on by 09. Climb to 5000 feet via the DEPR Tour. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after DEPR Tour. DEPR Tour on 126.65 squawk 4053.
Delta 43 is cleared to Kilo Charlie Lima Echo. Fly the WHWTR9 departure, with the Lovey transition, then as filed. Climb to 5,000 feet via the departure. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Departure on 126.65 squawk 4053.
Delta Force back correct. QNH is 1029 can take ground on 121.7 when ready for Pushabak. Enjoy your morning.
QNH is 1029 ground on 121.7 Delta 43.
Alright, Captain, got the directions. Let me know through the menu when you're ready.
I have prepared our pushback. We have our initial climb altitude of 5,000 feet. I put our transponder code into the transponder. We are looking really good. Let's see how the folks in the back are doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking off in just a few minutes. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for departure.
You can see flight deck door is open. Here's the first class cabin.
And AC 5407, we're turning north here at ramp 4, and we got information uniform.
AC 5407, out ground on way 26 left, taxi via Foxtrot.
26 left via Foxtrot, AC 5407.
These folks back here, they look a little too happy. Ha ha ha. We're ready to fire up the APU. 1, 2, 3. APU is coming to life. Turn on the furthest left fuel pump to help out that APU. Once the APU falls into range, it'll be online and available. We'll switch over to APU power on the bus. These inner two switches will transfer the power currently provided by the jet bridge. There we go. APU power is available. We'll take it, and we are now off of ground power. Now the debu's on, I'll turn on the yaw damper
South
switch.
of 3703, monitor 12532.
3703, good day.
Cincinnati ground, Delta 4 tree, requests pushback and engine start.
Delta 4-3 pushback and engine start approved.
Pushback and engine start approved. Delta 4-3.
Flight attendants, prepare your doors for departure, please. Cross-check and all call. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Delta Sky Team and our global partners, welcome on board your Delta flight. As you're making your way to your seat, we kindly ask that you please step into your row and out of the aisle as quickly as possible. Allow those passengers behind you to make their way to their seat as well. If you're traveling with a larger rollerboard, please place it in the overhead bins, either wheels or handles first, on either side of the aircraft. Keeping in mind that the overhead bin space is shared space, so if the bin directly above your seat is already full, please go ahead and utilize the next available space. If you brought in a second item with you, such as a briefcase, tote bag, laptop bag, backpack, you can go ahead and utilize that space under the seat in front of you, so that we can utilize that overhead bin space for your larger bags without having to check them plain sight to your final destination. Feel free to utilize your mobile phones, tablets, and e-readers while we're here at the gate. However, once we close our boarding door, you must please place these items into airplane mode or turn off your cellular service. Please also note that if you will be working on a laptop computer or enjoying any other larger electronic devices, they must be stored either in the bag under the seat in front of you or in the overhead bin. Please do not store these items in the pocket in front of you, place them directly on the floor, or hold them on your lap during passenger takeoff and landing. This is not just about the policy, but also a regulation for your safety. So let's thank you all for choosing the flight Delta. Welcome on board.
Great news, Captain. Your tow's coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have received our final tour. We are ready for immediate departure. Before we can move the aircraft, all passengers must be seated with your seatbelt securely fastened, your tray tables and carry-in items stowed, your seat backs in the upright and locked position, and your aisle armrests are lowered.
Ground Frontier Flight 1364 Victor for 5 November.
Frontier 1364, ground taxi, Victor Foxtrot to your ramp.
Victor Foxtrot to ramp Frontier Flight 1364.
Alright, looks like the doors and hatches are closed and we're ready to connect.
Before start checklist. Papers.
Papers are on board.
Flight deck door.
Flight deck door is closed.
Closed and locked. Fuel.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Tow's connected, bypass pins inserted. Go ahead and kill the parking brake when you're ready to go.
Pumps on.
Here comes the pushback.
Passenger
Light them up.
signs.
Passenger signs are on.
On. Window.
Windows are closed and locked.
Locked. MCP.
MCP, we've got 100 on the, well, actually, let's change that speed to 136. 136 heading 020, which should be 090.
Ground Delta 2864 is on the Victor Loop for ramp 2.
Delta 2864 around 1 Foxtrot, taxi to the ramp.
Speed 136. Heading 90. Altitude 5000. Takeoff speeds.
Takeoff speeds are set. 126, 127, 136.
V1 126. V rotate 127. V2 136. CDU pre-flight.
Completed.
Completed. Rudder and aileron trim.
Rudder and aileron trimmer set. Free at 0.
Taxi and takeoff briefing.
Taxi and takeoff braking are complete.
Anti-collision light.
Anti-collision light is on.
On. Before start checklist completed.
Wonderful.
It's unlikely, but if cabin pressure changes, the panels above your seat will open, revealing oxygen masks. If this happens,
Just about
reach
done
up
here. Go ahead and
pull
set your
mask
parking brake.
towards you until the tube is fully.
And we're disconnecting the tow. Give me just a moment.
Ground AC 5429 coming up 5 north with uniform.
AC 5429, ground runway 26 left, taxi via Foxtrot.
26 left on Foxtrot, AC 5429.
Packs off. Isolation valve open. Dual bleed on. We can see our pressure starting to rise. Ground on the engine number 2 engine. (22, 25) on the N2. We can introduce the fuel. We've got a good light on number 2. Ground on the number 1 engine. We've got 25% on the N2 for engine number 1. We'll introduce the fuel.
Folks from this cockpit, I'd like to welcome you on board.
We're ready up front. Everybody's closed up outside. We're just waiting to get some of our performance numbers and the clearance from air traffic control, and we should be underway. It's our pleasure having you on board with us today. Sit back, relax, enjoy the flight. Should be underway here shortly. Thanks.
Got a couple of good engines on. Let's put the taxi light on, the runway turn-off lights on. You know, I've had this issue the last several flights where the tow truck won't fully complete disconnect. And I hate to say this, I have to take drastic matters and just...
Delta 1182, give way to the MD-90, leaving ramp 2.
1182, welcome.
Okay, now the tow truck is gone. Unceremonious way of doing that. Cincinnati ground, Delta 4-3, ready to taxi, runway 9.
Delta 4-3 taxi to runway 09 via taxiways Juliet, Foxtrot, Kilo, Kilo 11, hold short runway 36 left, and runway 09.
Taxi to runway 09 via taxiways Juliet, Foxtrot, Kilo, Kilo 11, hold short runway 36 left, and runway 09 Delta 43. Before taxi checklist. Generators.
Generators are on. Oh, are they on? They're not on. Oh, good. You got them. You got them. You're good, Christy.
On.
Turn off the APU.
Probe heat.
Probe heat is on.
On. Anti-ice.
Anti-ice is not required. It's off.
Wing anti-ice off. Engine anti-ice off. Isolation valve.
Isolation valve is
Auto.
Very good.
Engine start switches.
Engine start switches. Go ahead and put those in continuous, would you please?
Continuous. Recall.
Recall is checked.
Checked. Auto brake.
Auto brake is in
Rejected takeoff.
Yes, it is.
Engine start levers.
Engine start levers are neutral, or are idle detent.
Flight control.
Ground Southwest 562 is 4 north with
We'll do a quick flight
Delta
control check
562
here.
on ground, runway 26 left, follow the next 90 off your left.
Neutral.
Okay, follow the next
Up.
90 off our left, Southwest
Neutral.
562. We're
Right.
on the tangent.
Neutral. Left. Neutral. Right rudder. Neutral. Left rudder. Neutral. And just for you, Christy, we'll do a spoiler check. Spoilers. And spoilers disengaged. That's a full flight control check. Get the flaps down to 5, take off position. Hydraulics are still waking up a little bit on this cold morning. 5, green, and then the
Flaps
detent.
5 set.
Checked.
Checked. Flaps.
Flaps 5, green, and then the detent.
Flaps 5 set. Green light. Detent. Ground equipment.
Ground equipment is clear. Clear.
Clear. Before taxi checklist completed.
Okay, we have our taxi clearance. We know where we're going. Let's get there.
5429, monitor tower on 125.32.
12532,
Before takeoff checklist. Flaps.
Flaps 5, detent. Green. Flaps 5.
Aircraft calling ground, say again with your call sign.
Flaps 5. Sorry, hit the wrong button.
Flaps 5 set. Green light, detent. Stabilizer trim.
5.75, set.
5-7 units set. Transponder.
Transponder is in the TA mode. Would you switch it over to the TARA mode for me?
TARA set.
Thank you.
Delta
Before
43 clear
takeoff
to cross
checklist
runway
completed.
18 right.
Cleared to cross runway 18 right Delta 43. 60 knots.
There was a little bit of a hill there and I gained some speed without meaning to. Yeah, we're taxiing along a little faster than safe taxi speed actually. We're just boogieing along. Yeah, it's in quite level ground. A little four-wheeling today. Before takeoff checklist is complete, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the landing lights. Oh, she's already got them on. She's already got everything.
Celsius 562, monitor 125.32.
She's got everything set up there.
562, monitor.
Turn the strobe lights on. How about that? I can do one thing.
Delta 43 contact tower on 118.3. Have a great flight.
Tower on 118.3 Delta 43.
Cincinnati Tower, Delta 43, ready for departure, runway 9.
Delta 43 winds are 126 at 8 knots, cleared for takeoff, runway 09.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 09 Delta 43.
Let's start the clock. Clear on the left.
Stabilized.
Tower, kind of 453, let's 24 left.
Taking a 453 Toronto Tower, Q400 traffic at 3 miles final. With the comp, clear to land runway 24 left.
Land 24 left, kind of 453.
Takeoff thrust set.
Toga armed.
80 knots.
Approaching transition. 1000 to level off.
V1 rotate. Positive rate.
Positive rate.
Gear up.
Heading 283 to Lovey, then as filed Delta 43.
Auto throttle on, flight director on.
400. $1,000.
Runway turn off, lights off. Taxi lights off. Climb and maintain 1000 feet Delta 43.
Virgin 7271, wind calm, clear takeoff runway 23.
Transition level. Flaps 2 set. Flaps 1 set. Flaps up set.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Sink rate.
1,000.
Taxi lights on. 80 knots. Throttle hold.